It's different because this is not the same order of a week. So I'm not sure why I'm looking at some of these guys in the front row because this is a Wednesday to us. So I'm kind of in a rush, so I won't be long. But obviously, as you know, for us, I don't know how it is for everybody, but Navy prep is a long week, and it's always a tough game. Not saying I'm happy to get it behind us, but I'm happy to get it behind us. And it's always unique, but coming off of the Navy week is what's sometimes most difficult. And it's just getting back to the things that you do on a consistent basis, at least defensively, but offensively as well. So it was a long week, and then we get this accelerated week this week that doesn't give you much time to kind of, not that you relax a lot during the season, but that 24-hour period of one game, where you at least get to relax a little bit and try to celebrate a win. It goes down to like 12 hours, and so you got to kind of accelerate that, and that's why we're in a Wednesday as I sit here and talk to you on a Tuesday.
You want me to ask a question now?
Sure.
Does it help, short week, that it's Holton Ahlers and you've prepared for him pretty much every year since you've been here?
No, I don't know that's, I don't know that makes it any different. I mean, for us and for me and maybe for some of the coaches, I mean, yeah, you got maybe a decent grasp, but it's not what we know. It's what those guys in those seats can know and understand. And we've got a lot of guys that haven't played, and on both sides of the ball. But short weeks are always different and difficult. I think sometimes for us, just because we get in such a routine that you got to change some things up. So it is what it is. But we got to move forward.
The combination of the short week and obviously a big change in playing style, does that put more onus on the defense?
No, I don't think so. I just think that it's always one of those things. You used to study the games after playing a triple option team, and they were always difficult for a defense. I hope the way we do things and preparing in camp and preparing in spring ball and the way we do it, that it was a little bit more of a seamless transition. And I'm not saying we're perfect. Obviously, each and every year when you play Navy, as many times as we played them with a triple option, you get so many different things just because I think on a consistent basis they play you and they know a little bit what you do as well, and which sometimes makes it more difficult. But I hope that that preparation and that flopping back and forth that we've done for a good 4 years now helps us moving forward.
The running joke with a lot of opposing fan bases was, man, Desmond Ritter's still there. He's been there 6 years. Does it still feel that way with Holton Ahlers because he's been there so long?
He has. Obviously, it's the uniqueness of where college football is right now, and he's taking advantage of that. And I guess it's a great thing. We've got some guys. We got a Wilson Huber that's in his 6th year, and some guys that have taken incredible advantage of some extra opportunities to continue to play the game, and maybe even get a couple extra degrees.
They started this, in terms of wins and losses at least, they started the season a little slow, but they've won their last 3. They beat UCF. They went to BYU and won. They're coming off a bye week now. Are you seeing anything differently that they did from the beginning of the year now?
They've won the close games. They've won in overtime. I mean, game 1 with NC State, that could have gone either direction at any point in time. And obviously that's a really good football team as well. So I think that the thing that you're seeing now is they're winning those games at the end, and from the 2 overtime wins, and momentum is a big deal. And they've done a really good job. They've played really well, especially at the end of the year, the last few years. So we know we're going to get a great shot. We know we're going to get what we've seen on film and something a little bit better. And regardless if they're coming off a bye week or not, this has been a unique one for both sides for a few years now.
You talked about trying to figure out what the identity of the offense, and probably the defense too, but for offense specifically, what have been the challenges to figuring out that identity, and what do you want it to be?
Well, I'm not going to say it over and over. We want balance to be the identity. We want, to be able to run the football to be the identity, but we don't want to be one-sided in anything we do. And, and I think when you're always trying to continue to enhance and develop what it is that you're doing, I don't know that, we could sit here and say this is exactly what we're going to be on an everyday basis. And sometimes that's even a tougher thing to prepare for. So, I think that, with the youth and some of the younger guys and the newer guys that we've got to continue to do it. And it doesn't stop even though there's, 3 regular season weeks left. But the hard part for me is maybe not just being able to put your finger exactly on saying, I think this is who we really are. I think that's, still a little bit more of, dictated by, some of the things that other people do, which isn't what you always love. But sometimes that's a strength of yours as well. And I think that's where we are right now. It's a little bit more of a strength for us to be able to say, okay, who are they and what do we need to be?
I know you look forward to my scouting report every week.
You
Holton Nailers is obviously very good, but when I watch them, Keaton Mitchell is the guy that seemingly jumps off the page with his ability to not only run in between the tackles, but get outside, hit home runs. He looks like maybe
He's
the
a
best
difference
back,
maker.
yeah.
He's a difference. Why he's leading the league in rushing, and I think the uniqueness is, yes, you can see the big long ones where he can circle the defense because of his electric speed and quickness, to be honest with you. But there's plenty of shots where he hits it right up in the middle. He won a long one against BYU right through the A gap. So they've got a really good 1-2 punch with him, meaning that he can take it outside and he can make things happen. But he's not afraid to stick a thing up in the middle. Not saying injuries, but I think, with other guy getting hurt a little bit puts a little bit more onus on him. And I think, for them, it might even be a better thing, get the hot hand going a little bit more and giving him some more opportunities. So, where everybody would say, hey, they're the team that slings the football. They also got the leading rusher in the league. So that's what makes them who they are, I think, offensively, and what makes them so good.
I did all right this week.
You did a better job.
Thanks.
Couldn't have done any worse than last week.
You mentioned the unique challenges of coming off of Navy Week. What unique challenges do you face when you're preparing for a Friday night game? That's maybe a little early.
I don't know. It's just the routines of things. It's just what you're used to. It's even the week before when that Sunday is a nice time to let your guys enjoy a little bit of victory, which it was last week, and having a victory meal, and you go about it and you can kind of get into your rhythm. I know for me, Mondays are great days because it's a whole day to game plan, and we get to take our time and do it the way we want to do it, and then all of a sudden you get a change in your routine, and all of a sudden Sunday is really the Monday, and then Monday is really the Tuesday. I mean, everything just becomes accelerated, and you don't want to shortchange anything. You don't want to not do things the way you've done them the entire year. So that just means you got to have a really, really good plan. We have been fortunate enough at least to have a few of these Friday night games that we've had a plan in place that gives us a chance that we're not scrambling around and say, well, let's try this time. We've been pretty consistent in how we prepared. It takes a lot of maturity from the players, and I think even the coaches as well.
Ben talked after the game that defensively maybe kind of mixed up blitzing, but then also playing some soft coverage. And it seems like a lot more of those intermediate underneath throws. Is that kind of what you're talking about, where week to week you have to take whatever the opposing defense is giving you?
It is. It's everybody always. It's easy to see from even Chad can pick it out when you go from a spread team to a triple option. So your defense has some unique things different, but I don't know that everybody always sees the uniqueness and the difference that week to week offenses see as well. And I'll be honest with you. I watch Navy defensively, and I'm really impressed with what they do. I think that they can definitely outsmart you. They can talk you into one thing and do some other things. I think the strength of where they are, and I know Navy is not have a great record. I think it's a good football team, but what they do defensively makes it really difficult. And especially then you couple it with the limited possessions and things, and darn well you don't want to turn the ball over and be overly aggressive because you might not get it back. So I think that combination of things was difficult last week. More so than everybody talks just about, hey, facing the triple option. I think that the combination of what they do defensively, gave a lot of anxiety to a lot of us.
I know you're not paying attention to the outside noise, but however much you get a sense of scrutiny that Ben gets, is it comparable to Dez? Is it even beyond that? I guess, how do you feel about that?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I didn't know how much scrutiny Dez got. I think Dez got a lot of scrutiny from inside the program. I know whether it was his freshman, sophomore, junior year, and that was coming from him as well. And so I after last week, I did feel like, maybe I need to pay attention a little more, make sure I understand what our guys are going through. Not that I wanted to distract me as well, but so I did. I paid a little bit more attention. I grabbed Ben. I just made sure not that he needed it, that he knows how much we appreciate what it is that he does, and how much we count on him and how great of a job I think he's doing. And I don't think he needed it. I think he's very mature and confident in what he's doing. But I thought it was important, maybe even for me, to make sure I recognize, that there are maybe some other opinions of, what people want us to be or want him to be. And kind of all goes back to just be us. And had that been, Evan Prater, as our quarterback, it was still the same motto. Like, it would have been hard. Hey, just be us. Whether you're Evan or you're Ben, we don't want you to be. We don't want you to be, Dez. Not that we don't want you to have the production of Dez and the success of Dez, but you got to do it in your own way. And so that was definitely the philosophy as we started the whole run at this thing ever since last year ended.
Yeah.
This conference race is really tight. It's really good at this point. How much do you look forward as a coach when you get into November football? Your team's in a race, jockeying with other teams, and you get some of those teams on your schedule here the next few weeks. How much you just enjoy being part of this kind of thing?
That's what you love. That's what you want our kids to love. That's what you don't want them to have anxiety over. It's like, this is what you prepare for, the ability to be in a race, and it's much better when it is a race, and there's a lot of twists and turns. I think it's better for everybody. It's better for college football. It's better for the league, but more than anything, you see who can handle those things down the stretch. Our guys all understand and know what's at stake, and I don't want them to overthink about that. That's not the end all be all. The end all be all is that each and every day, each and every week, doing the job you need to do, and put ourselves in a position to in November be ready to have play for something. And so there's a balance there, but it is exciting, and to know that who cares who we got, but that we're still in the mix.
Defensively, what has ECU shown you that they kind of lean on, or is the strength of their defense?
Well, I think they're very aggressive. I mean, we get a lot of crossover games, watch them a ton. Have actually tried to pull some of the things they do defensively, as we have always kind of developed, what we do defensively. And I think it's really critical is how aggressive they are. I mean, they don't want to let you run the football. I know that. And they will be ultra aggressive at attacking downhill. And, so I'm not saying they take some chances, but they'll change it up on you as well. But I've been very impressed over the last couple of years of what they've done defensively, and you can see them continue to grow. They haven't changed, I think, in the last 2.5, 3 years in the big picture of what they do defensively, and you see how that growth has really taken place. They apply a lot of pressure, to everybody, whether it's the wideouts too, because they might be in some man-to-man situations, but they're not going to be free access and easy throws. And if you're going to do that, then there's going to be people heating down your throat because they're going to be aggressive up front as well.
Joe.
Awesome, Jay.
Go ahead.
Just a thought on Josh Wiley. Obviously, a couple weeks ago, he set the all-time record for tight end scoring touchdowns. How much has he changed since he's gotten to UC? We can see the physical change he's made. It's been pretty obvious from his time in high school.
No, he
as a person, how much
he has. I mean, he's grown. I mean, I think that's those things that you love to see and talk about. We all go into college with one vision and where we are. Some of us, like myself, go into college at 19 years old, and maybe you're not quite 19. And I think a lot of guys are like that for the first time they go away, and you see them have to go through some transformations, whether it's with their body or just how they handle things. And he's done a phenomenal job at that. I think we've said it before, and I don't want to keep beating it, but sometimes injuries not are always a great thing, but they're a thing that really help you to grow up and mature. And I think that's what Josh has been put into, and he's had some of those situations where he's had some injuries that have really been difficult and tough on him, but it's really what's made him who he is. He's been able to grow up and mature past it, understand how fragile football is and how much it can be taken, how easy it can be taken away from you. Even going into probably the biggest reason why he came back. And had he not broke his foot maybe in the last minute of that Alabama game, he probably wouldn't be with us. And what that really means and how much more he grew up from that and that situation, I think is a big deal. So I know he's come a long way, and I don't just mean in football player as a person. I just mean as a leader and obviously a core guide to this entire program since it started.
Did Amy or any of the kids happen to pass along the SMU Houston score on Saturday, and what was your reaction to 140 points in a football game?
Well, I did go home and watch a little bit of football, and I saw a score come across the bottom at halftime. It was like 55 to 30 some, and I swore it had to be a
Basketball.
misprint. I did not know it was a football game. And then obviously I didn't pay much attention, then saw the final score like 77 to 63, 10 touchdowns for Mordecai. And I don't know how many Tune had, 8 or 7 or whatever. But
Mordecai had 10 touchdowns, 9 incompletions.
so it's great. I'm not exactly sure. At some point in time, we will watch that just to see how that went. There's a lot of things that go on in college football that amaze me, and I think that's what you see, that week in and week out, there isn't that much of a discrepancy between a lot of these teams, and I mean that. And so, who's got the hot hand, who's playing well, who continues to grow, what guys can keep their teams, all kind of pointed in the right direction. And, I think obviously that's not a bad football team that can score some points, obviously.
Were you watching Notre Dame Clemson or LSU Alabama?
I think I watched mostly LSU Alabama, and it's whatever the kids are watching, to be honest with you. I try not to usually press mute, just be a fan from a distance, as long as it doesn't cause me anxiety. It's kind of like somebody said, did you watch any of the Sunday night game, the Titans? And I said, no. I got home, I knew it was the fourth quarter. I looked at my phone and I said, I'm not about to have any more anxiety in my life watching and, wishing for, helping my buddy along. So I just kind of kept popping my phone every 2-3 minutes to see where it was. And I went to bed, and when I went to overtime, I said, no, I'm not even going to have to worry about this. So I try to avoid any of those other situations that causes any more anxiety, and try to relax a little bit.
You've been mostly a 3-down front for the past few years. Does watching Dante and Briggs play next to each other for a game make you maybe change your mind at all?
Yeah, there's a lot of things you like to be able to do with those guys, and but I do think sometimes that our ability to keep those guys fresh is what gives us the chance to be as good as we are. But no, there's a lot of those things that go through your mind, and ultimately it comes down to getting your best 11 guys in the football field. If that means we have to do some different things, we will as we push down the stretch. Last year Briggs played a lot of the 5 technique. He didn't play as much nose guard with Curtis Brooks in there and Marcus Brown. So there's some things that we can do even within the rest this last few weeks or months of the season.
Any other questions for Coach? Thank you.
Thank you.